Good evening, everyone. All good? Nice. So, are you tired of wrestling with code complexities? We've been hearing lots of codes, right? And are you ready to transform your development workflow from frustrating to fantastic? Yes, let's revolutionize your code development and code testing, as well as troubleshooting of your code. And let's see how well we can help our developers, right? So, I am Shalabh Srivastav, Principal Consultant, AWS Professional Services, and today I'll be talking to you all on how we can enhance our Amazon Q developer experience. Okay, how many of us have used Amazon Q? Amazing, makes my next slide even more interesting then. Let's start with this analogy. We love it. So Amazon Q Developer is like your personal travel planner for your code journey. So imagine you're planning your dream trip to a destination you have never visited before. You have a couple of rough idea of what you want to do, what you want to see, but then your personal travel assistants will help you navigate through the complexities of understanding that, okay, fine, which is the best place to eat or which is the best place to stay. So how does your personal travel planner works? They'll try to understand your travel goals, they'll research your travel options, they'll create a customized itinerary for you, and they'll also provide you expert guidance. Now, let's apply this analogy to Amazon Q Developer. So in this scenario, your travel goals will represent the software development project or feature that you would want to build. The personal travel planner is your Amazon Q developer. Yeah, and how that works is, so Amazon Q developer, it will understand your project goals. It will research the code options. It will also help you generate customized code. Yeah, that's the best thing. And then it will also provide me some expert guidance on how to refine my code, optimize my code, best practices, and all. So this is how Amazon Q Developer in a nutshell works. There are two key interesting facts that I would want to share. It is your most accurate coding companion. So it has the highest reported code acceptance rates when it comes to performing multi-line code suggestions. And I'm not saying it, our customers tell us. Customers like British Telecom, in the last couple of years, they've accepted 37% of Amazon Q's recommendations. And then we have the National Australian Bank, who has accepted 50% of Amazon Q's developers' code suggestions. Yeah? It is also one of the best in class in terms of security vulnerability as well as scanning. Security, we say, is job zero. So it scans your code for hard to detect vulnerabilities such as exposed credentials as well as log injections. Next. So let's understand what is inline code completion. So Amazon Q, it can provide you with recommendations on code real time. So as I'm typing, it is also suggesting, wow, I have a companion, isn't it? So as you write, the queue automatically generates suggestions based on your existing code as well as your comments. The file that I'm working in, it will suggest me according to the code that is there in that particular file, as you can see here. And yes, it is the AI model. So it uses a base model which is trained on a vast collection of open source as well as Amazon's internal coding best practices. Yeah, and the inline suggestions are automatically enabled as soon as you install the Amazon Q extension on your IDEs. So what exactly is Amazon code completion? AI-powered code suggestions. It gets integrated with your IDEs. So it right now supports IDEs like Visual Code Studio, IntelliJ. It is also there in your Lambda and other serverless technologies that we have. It has the ability to provide context-aware code suggestions. So it checks which file you're working on, what is your workspace, what code you have, what is the naming convention you're following in your code repositories. And then it, as I said, leverages context and customizations from the files which are already opened or which are in your workspace. We'll see that in the later section.
Yeah, just a quick question around context awareness. Is it mainly for just the
So when it comes to Lambda, I was going to take question, but yes, when it comes to Lambda, it will analyze what is going wrong in your, say it helps in Lambda troubleshooting. If I'm getting any error, I'll take help from Q developer, I'll pass on that particular error and the Q developer will give me right recommendations. I'm actually going to talk about all those things. I just do not want to break everyone's thunder. But yeah, I'll take that question at the end as well. Cool. Some of the sources for context and inline code completion. So it analyzes your current file, as I said, that file you're working on, and it checks the surrounding blocks as well as specific classes and packages. For example, if I'm using and working with Java. It also checks for custom code as a context, and it can find and use similar code blocks from the user's own repositories. And for unit tests, it identifies the test files as well as pulls in the symbols and context from the corresponding test cases. So it analyzes your entire workspace to give you the recommended options as suggestions. So yeah. Some of the best practices. So this is what we are saying, how we can enhance. So best practices for unit test generation. So for file naming conventions, whoever are good developers, we all know that you want to use descripting naming conventions and also follow the standard naming conventions. Understanding, what the file is about is really, really important for someone who comes after you, who is new in your team, isn't it? The file location, so if, for example, if you have unit tests in your workspace, move it in a separate folder so that the companion is able to easily detect your test cases and recommend you the suggestions. And for test cases naming, use clear and concise names which describe the behavior of the test being tested. Following some of these small bits will really help the companion to help you with rightly, it will help you to suggest rightly in terms of the code that you are writing. Affecting comment usage. So we try to write all the good code, isn't it? Nice, complex, this loop inside another, yeah? But what we forget is to explain what the code is doing, right? Even I used to do that, and I think every one of us do that. We are really, really bad when it comes to writing a comment. Oh, I understand it. Why should I just, okay, this is a function which is calling calculator, yeah, calculating something, yeah, but what exactly it is calculating? Can be an average, it can be a sum of two numbers, right? So it is really, really important that we insert and explain our code, not every line, but maybe every block of the code, right? So if suppose we have a loop, identifying, telling that, okay, fine, loop until the user enters a certain value. So please, in order to get the most out of the Q developer, try to use good comments, right? Single text, multi-text, some of these, and separation of context is also very, very, very important. Nice. So we learned about the inline code. We also have someone to chat to. Nice. So Q Developer also has a chat feature. It allows you to ask questions and get assistance on various topics. Well, not various topics, generally technical topics, okay? Technical topics, code-related activities, as well as troubleshooting, yeah? It also can access custom models, right? It is really, really nice when it comes to chatting, yeah? And it also gets enabled as soon as you install the Amazon Q Developer extension in your IDE. So now, from where does this shared chat takes the data, right? Understands what you are trying to talk about. So it takes data from the file which is open. Yeah. It also takes data from the workspace. Yeah, for file, there is a character limit of 4,000 that it generates as a response. For the file input, it takes 10,000 as a file character limit. But if you actually want to get more out of the responses, I would recommend building up your chat history. So 4,000, then you ask something more detailed that it prints after that, okay, fine, it gave me an example of what is the controller class do, and then after that 4,000, I'm again typing, okay, fine. In that same context, what classes do this application depend on? Yeah. So it is really, really important to build your context history. You might ask me, Shalabh, what happens when I close my IDE? Well, when you close your IDE, your chat context gets deleted. We do not store any of your chat conversations private to you. So build your chat history, try to open the file, explain what exactly you're referring to. You can even select the code block that you would want recommendation of, if that is the correct way, or if there are certain other options that I can implement that. Yeah. One important thing here is at workspace. So at workspace, it automatically includes the most relevant chunks of your workspace code as context. The Q developer will understand and scan your entire workspace to find out the right recommendations for you. Yeah, it gives the Q developer enhanced capability, like understanding how your code is being run, how and different naming conventions of the methods. It even identifies your git ignore files to check which files and folders to ignore. Yeah, cool, nice. No more code complexities. Come on, click next. Okay. When it comes to Amazon Q developer actions, it also gives me certain actions. So there are a couple of menus. One is explain, which will explain me the code that is being scanned. So imagine there's a new person joining in the team. There's an onboarding period of 1 month, 2 months, depending upon how broad and complex the code is. This is something which has reduced time to say from months to weeks for people onboarding. It is really, really helpful. So I just click explain and I will be told about what that particular file is doing. Yeah. And then another thing is refactoring. Refactoring is where it will suggest me an alternate implementation. Yeah, so sometimes we've seen with financial organizations that certain AWS accounts that they have, they do not have all the AWS services enabled, right? So that's where when you have your code using, say, for example, certain section of service, say ECS or EKS, or say EKS is not enabled, maybe it will recommend you some other alternate suggestion. Yeah. The key point here is optimize. What is optimize, Shalabh? So optimize, it will optimize my code. Okay, fine. What's next? So for example, you have a code block here. Yeah, and it is basically doing a currency conversion, say from GBP to INR. So we know that it is the input will be 3 characters, GBP. And here, if you can see, it is using the conversion type as 255 varchar. So the suggestion is, if you can please, Shalabh, reduce that conversion type, data type length from 255 to 3. Amazing, thank you so much. This is what I'm looking for. And these are the things that I and we all miss, right? Optimization, really, really friendly and really, really cool feature. So now, some of the best practices around effective chat interactions, how we can get the most out of a chat, right? The first and important few things are breaking down complex tasks. Don't say that I want to do this, A, then B, then C. Start with, say, for example, create a database, yeah, and then on top of that, maybe an application server, then some load balancers, then the front end, right? Also be clear in terms of what you want the chat agent to do. Say, I would like to create a unit test, yeah, or performing sort of a discovery, say what this function is trying to do. Yeah, so these kinds of single liners, clear sort of inputs to the chat will help you better in terms of understanding. The chat will understand your inputs properly and give you more meaningful and more focused results according to what you are looking for. Yeah. So we talked about inline code, we talked about chat. Now I want to do something more. I am a more sort of a hands-on developer. I do not want, I know, like level 100, level 200, but what more you can give? Yeah, so that's where the Q developer agent comes into picture. So it is a software development agent for you, and it gets integrated with your IDE, and it uses context of your current project. You can start entirely a new project or work with an already open project in your IDE. How we trigger it? We just type /dev and then it opens in a new window, and you can perform all your core technical tasks with your software development agent. It also helps you generate an implementation plan. As you would see here, it tells you that, okay, the step-by-step process if you want to say create a 3-tier application. Yeah. How and what are some of the best practices to work when it comes to agent? So breaking down complex tasks, very important. Processing your components individually as well as being specific about intentions. Creating unit tests, create unit tests. I want a CDK application to do create an application for me. 3-tier, maybe a serverless application. Be very specific. What you want in your workspace? I want a README file. I want certain unit test cases. I want a serverless application with an API gateway. So be very specific, and it will generate very specific contents when it comes to your Q developer agent. And the agent also gets automatically installed. You do not have to do anything different with the agent. Just /dev opens in a new chat window. You can start writing your context related to it. Okay, this brings me to the last slide. So we learned about the inline coding methodologies, how we can improve the coding experience as we are typing. We also got to know about the chat feature, how efficiently we can get outputs from the chat, as well as the agent, which is really helpful in terms of diving deep and suggesting you level 200, level 300 sort of answers around your code development. Yeah, it did help me create this particular deck, all the information here. And yeah, go explore yourself. If you have not been using, this is the first thing that you start and going and installing the Q developer. If suppose you are using Visual Code Studio, there is a small pop-up which comes in the status bar, and you can just click that. I think I had it in one of the few slides. Just click it and you can start sort of getting recommendations as you type your code. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Yes.